Hey everybody, please welcome to the stage your headliner for the show. Give it up for Bryan Stoops.
So, Queens, I have been told throughout my entire life my nicest features are my eyes. I find this very sweet. It is also a little bit of a bummer because they are right next to my worst features, the bags around my eyes. Even though I have nice eyes, nobody fall in love with me. I'm married, and you can't handle all 5'7" and 100% self-loathing of this, so just back off. I have gone back recently to my natural hair color, orange. A spray bottle lightning job and a guy in his mid-40s, just two things that should never, ever go together, but yet here I stand. Those things don't belong together. Those things were never meant to be combined. Those things are like Morrissey and nursery rhymes. On second thought, Baba Black Sheep. Have you any wool? Jack and Jill went up the hill. Jill came down with a hickey. The itsy bitsy spider went up the spout and rain came down. Solid laughs for my super topical Morrissey impression. Thank you, Queens. Wow. I never know everybody what to wear to do stand-up. I feel like dressing to do stand-up is like dating in high school. Equal parts artificial confidence and purposefully being kind of pathetic. Like it's that mix that determines how well you do. It's that mix that determines if you spend the whole movie making out or if you sit there side by side actually watching Interview with the Vampire. I'm glad you enjoyed that reference to 1994's Interview with the Vampire. Cool. Queens, I believe in quickly and honestly establishing expectations. If short, middle-aged comedians who work far too many movie references into their material are your thing, the next hour is going to be like the best of your life, all right? So sit back and relax. I am the proud father of two amazing kids. That was not a joke, it was an applause cue. Good. Everybody's still smiling. You didn't get mad at the applause cue joke. You're easily manipulated, just like me and my marriage. We're gonna get along fine. My oldest is my son, 17 years old, amazing young man. Queens, he is on the autism spectrum. Oh no, it's okay. I am a hero, and you're all correct to admire me. Yeah. Most of this hour is going to be upbeat and positive. I can have moments of darkness like anybody, though I was thinking recently, while I would never, ever want this to come to be, if something ever happened to my wife, 6 months of tasteful public mourning on social media, man, I'd be all set to disappoint hundreds of women in bed. Come on, Queens, a dead wife and a son on the autism spectrum? That's like one small step down from me being 6'2" with abs, just a little bit mean, the kind you think you can fix, and actually liking myself. I'd be fighting straight women off with a stick. For the record, the universal record, I love my wife very much. I don't want anything to ever happen to her. I'm just saying. In the event of her unlikely death, to combat the sorrow I would feel for the rest of my life, I would be a whore for a while. And I would exploit both her death and my son's disability to do so. That's all. That's all I'm saying, Queens. Hey, it's what her ghost would want, all right? Why can't you let her spirit rest? People worry sometimes, and that worry comes from like a good place. Does your son know you talk about him on stage? I record all of my sets, not quite like this, but I do record all of them. He watches them back, he laughs, he loves being part of the show, you don't need to worry. Also, be cool, man. Also, if you were worried, my family is real. It's not like a Joker or a Fight Club situation. Also, if you were worried that I killed the real Bryan Stoops, killed his wife, killed his kids, embalmed their bodies, and stole his identity, don't worry, I'm me. Queens, I'm a New York City comedian who works mostly clean. I want you to know that I can be edgy too, damn it. My youngest is my daughter, 14 years old. That means the next 90 seconds of material brought to you by the letter P for puberty, because ever since she went through it a few years ago, when she makes up her mind she wants to, she really can bum out the entire room. No. 85% of the time, my wife and I look at each other, we say, how did we get so lucky? We are raising this incredible young woman. It is a privilege to be her father. The other 15% of the time, we say to each other under our breaths, man, what a little bitch, what's her problem? But 85% of the time, it's a privilege to be her father. When I'm not killing it on stage, I am a high school English teacher in the South Bronx. That was also not a joke, that was another applause cue. The manipulation continues. Aha! Because I am an English teacher, when my kids came of age, I started them on a steady diet of the classics. Woo! Goonies, Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, the classics! I waited a little bit, Queens, on the never-ending story. I was worried, you see, about the Artax the horse sinks into the swamps of sadness scene. Some of you are nodding emphatically, some of you are staring at me blankly. Let me try to help you. In the world of the movie, the adolescent warrior Atreyu is trying to save the world of Fantasia from the impending existential threat of the Nothing. He has a trusty horse named Artax. They go to these swamps in this one scene where apparently if your thoughts are sad enough, you sink to your death, thus swamps of sadness. Queens, I'm a crier. I cry. I'm an easy cry. Whatever emotional reaction I have the first time I see a movie, I'm likely to have the same reaction every time I watch it. That scene's been making me cry for almost 40 years. I wasn't always the evolved specimen standing on stage right now. I was scared to show that kind of emotion in front of my kids. Anyways, flashback about 7 years ago. My daughter's about maybe 7, 8 years old. We're watching the movie for the first time. We get to that scene. Artax starts sinking. Atreyu cries out. It fades to black. I'm crying. My daughter turns to me and says, "What did that horse even have to be sad about anyway?" Now, after knowing the movie for almost 40 years, it's actually a damn good point. In the moment, though, I said, I don't know, horse stuff? Getting Atreyu to and from? The impending existential threat of the Nothing? Gee, somebody's not going to be a veterinarian, is she? She might work in a vet's office, you know, cremating the bodies of the animals they put to sleep that day. But I'm sensing a lack of that natural empathy for animals so essential to a vet. Queens, thank you for letting me talk about that family I embalmed. I mean, my family. I really do appreciate it. I am originally from eastern Los Angeles County, not East LA. Not that there's anything wrong with East LA. I'm from the burbs, not the hood, but you already figured that out, didn't you? Fun fact, my hometown, the city in which I grew up, when Snoop Dogg wanted to go from being a man of the people to a man in a mansion, he bought a place in a gated community in my hometown. It used to be like a good middle class, working class type of city. It really has changed. It's really kind of bougie now. Like Marty McFly's family at the end of Back to the Future when he gets back from the past and their house is all nice. Now that's like the most disappointing family in my hometown. Because the vibe is like, well, they live in a single-story house that's only 1,500 square feet, and they're new money. Those McFlys are gross. Like, it's that kind of a vibe. I want to acknowledge explicitly, even though a moment ago I referenced Snoop Dogg, I know I'm not gangster. I know that because I just used the word explicitly in a sentence and I pronounced the R sound at the end of the word gangster. Anybody who can't pull off that A apostrophe sound and who knows what an apostrophe is, definitely not gangster. Queens, that was 2 grammar jokes in a row, more of that edge I was talking about earlier in this show, yes? Yeah. Years ago, I turned 40. And I handled it really, really well. I didn't overreact at all. All I did is I took my wife and kids from Southern California, where we had spent our entire lives, and I moved them to the New York City area. Pretty typical not overreacting to turning 40 kind of behavior, yes? First 2 years we lived here, we lived on Roosevelt Island. That is... Really? Yeah. For those of you who are apparently not these people, Roosevelt Island is a little island in the East River in between Manhattan and Queens. A lot of New Yorkers don't even know that people live on Roosevelt Island. In fact, telling most New Yorkers that you live on Roosevelt Island is like telling somebody that you're from Narnia. Telling most New Yorkers you live on Roosevelt Island turns that person into a long married couple talking to their single friend about their sexual escapades. And then what did the island do to you? It did not. It did not do that to you for 45 minutes straight. It totally did, and then Staten Island showed up and things got weird. And kind of racist. We live in Forest Hills, Queens now, and we still have lots of friends on the island. We reassure them all the time, living in Forest Hills, just as boring as if we'd stayed on the island. But living in and loving New York City, the New York City area, kind of like the most abusive relationship you've ever been in, where you're having the best sex of your life. Am I right? Because it's like you love the city, so you buy it flowers, and the city cuts you with its switchblade. And it's your fault. You weren't on your toes. Or you're sitting in the park, literally doing nothing, literally breathing. The city storms up, gives you a bloody nose, gets right in your face and screams, "You make me so crazy, Bryan, that was your fault," and then storms off. Then 45 minutes later, you and the city are post-coital because it was just raw dog o'clock. And the city says, "I bought you a nice watch. And tickets to see your favorite band at Madison Square Garden." Then you show up on Friday to the garden, and the city is late. Because it's been drinking a lot at work. And it's not your But then later, when you're lined up to buy two $17 beers, the only reason you see Marty Scorsese rushing through the garden is because the city pointed him out to you. And you say, "Oh, New York, I love you. Let's have an unplanned pregnancy together." I have a comedian friend, every time I do that bit, he always says, "You know, if we were on Long Island right now and you did that Billy Joel joke, you'd get your ass kicked." To which I always think, if we were on Long Island right now, do you think I would have mentioned Snoop Dogg? So next month, it'll be 6 years to the day that we moved here. It took... Oh, thank you very much. Yes. Hey. Airplanes and shipping. Yeah. But no, I appreciate it. Thank you. It took until this last year, I never realized that the MTA can just change the train on you. I don't mean I got up and physically changed lines. I mean, attention passengers, you were on a Bronx-bound 2 train. Due to track maintenance, this is now a Queens-bound G train. We apologize for any inconvenience. That is some David Blaine, Chris Angel, bad magic trick nonsense, am I right? Like, I know you're sick of this expression, but that kind of thing absolutely necessitates the colloquialism, "Defa?" Like, attention passengers, you were going express to Brooklyn from Manhattan. Due to an ongoing police investigation, this train has changed directions. We'll make no stops until we reach Boston's beautiful South Station. We apologize for any inconvenience. Dear MTA, I don't accept your apology. If you really cared, you would change your behavior. I'm glad you enjoyed my MTA-related material that absolutely will not play outside of the New York City area, but thank you. So this is going to sound a little bit strange. From the age of 7 until I was about 24, I was a professional magician in Southern California. And thank you for, I'm not doing any magic in this special, but thank you for that. And then just twists and turns in life. For about 2 decades, I focused on some other life areas, had some successes. But I was really down on myself for a little while there. Like I gave up on my performing arts dreams for a time. That's how I felt. I realized a few years into stand-up, a magician is just a stand-up comedian who doesn't have the guts to admit on stage how much they hate themselves. So this is very useful, right? Life is like a little Christopher Nolan movie where the beginning is the end and the end is the beginning. Also, I was raised Jewish. This is incredibly useful for trying to be a comedian in New York City. When I really think about it, though, the sum total of being raised Jewish, well, we celebrated Hanukkah instead of Christmas, Passover instead of Easter, and we had a Jewish-themed version of Monopoly called Chutzpah. Yes, you would get community chess cards like, you recommended a crummy bagel place on the Lower East Side, pay each player $50 for being such a schlemiel. I was never bar mitzvahed, so according to the faith, I'm not a man. I'm not a man because at 13 I didn't stand on stage and have my voice break while I recited my Haftorah portion. I was thinking about it recently though. I mean, seriously, not a brag. I bought an apartment in New York City. Okay, Queens, but close enough. In the middle of a global pandemic, on a teacher's salary and another little bit of income from a side business, when the rabbis find the missing part of the Old Testament where the Maccabees pass a co-op board? Then you can get back to me about rites of passage. Until then, Judaism, respectfully, eat your gefiltered fish and put a sock in it, all right? These days, honestly, I think of myself more as a part-time Jew, right? Like I'm Jewish when it's convenient for me, like when I'm going to get something out of it. Not unlike how I see a lot of women interacting with contemporary feminism. I'm going to leave that joke right here and just step away from it. All right? Yeah, part-time Jew. Queens, it's hard out there for a part-time Jew, yo. You were very nice. You let me talk about my kids a little bit. I want to just share some random things about my wife, who is alive, real quickly. I have been a coffee drinker since I was 16. It's one of the last things I have. I refuse to give it up. My wife was not a coffee drinker when we got together 20 years ago. One of my greatest joys in my entire life, turning my wife from a non-coffee drinker into a guzzles it whenever she can get it, can't function without it, coffee whore just like me. She hates that joke. Hates it. I hate when you call me a whore. I go, no, babe, I gotta really oversell it. I go, we're together! Mr. and Mrs. Coffee Whore, it's our thing, we're together. My wife can't say the word poems in real time. We figured that out recently. Her mouth can't form the shapes in real time. The slower she goes, the worse it gets. So I love now, like late January, because she'll be like, babe, when Valentine's Day rolls around, are you going to read me any love poems? Like she turns into Anne Ramsey from the Goonies. Magical. My wife also likes to randomly, with no context, blurt out crossword puzzle clues. I think she's working it on her phone, so I have no idea like what's going on. We're sitting around on a Sunday drinking our coffee. Mr. and Mrs. Coffee Whore. The real life inspiration for Dracula. Vlad the Impaler, but what are you talking about? Coffee whoredom, can't say the word poems, random crossword puzzle clues. Being married is really, really nice. 85% of the time, just like being a parent. Queens, I hate this trend of liking somebody's text message. Liking somebody's text message is the laziest form of communication. Liking somebody's text message is the missionary position of communication. All the middle-aged ladies in the audience are like, you're a little short for me, Brian, but you had me at missionary. You know what I mean, right? You're in a group text and you write something like, we should do happy hour soon. All you get back from one person, liked, we should do happy hour soon. Which always makes me wonder for the people in the group text, do you actually want to do the happy? No? Okay. When I really think about it though, I should have been prepared for this lazy trend in communication. The person, again, to do this valuable preparatory work, my wife, by never answering a single one of my phone calls in real time for the 20 years of our relationship. Even when it was still cool to take a call. Just, nope. Anybody out there got somebody like that in their life? Even though we all have phones all the time, you just can't get a hold of these people. Am I right? If you're seated right next to them, just blink really, really fast. And I'll know, like, Brian, she's right here. Be cool. Queens, I also hate loving somebody's text. Be there in 5. Loved be there in 5. You loved it. My text message. Huh. No, it's just that entire multi-episode TV show arcs have been devoted to when it is and is not the right time to use that verb, but you love my text? spend just a little bit of time with this. What did you love about my text? Did you love like the diction, the word choice? Did you love the succinct nature of my communication? Nope, I got it. You loved getting essential information without dealing with what could be the worst, most soul-crushing problem facing human beings today: answering your phone when it's ringing. Queens, I'm going to start messing with people. I'm going to be in a group text. I'm going to write, "We should get together soon," and I'm going to wait. Inevitably, somebody's going to text back, "Liked we should get together soon." I'm going to jump all over it. I'm going to text back, "Love liked we should get together soon." You only like the idea that we should get together soon. I love the idea that you like the idea that we should get together soon. I'm the bigger person. I win. I win texting. My loving of your liking of the idea that we should get together soon absorbs that liking like the MCP absorbs rogue programs in Tron. That actually was a decent response, but I just want to bet that I couldn't work a Tron reference into my special, so everybody wins. Of course, some Weisenheimer in the group text could then manually write in, "Adored, loved, liked, we should get together soon." But in that case, the text has too many levels. That person is going to get stuck in texting limbo, where it's 5 minutes of texting for me and 5 years of texting for them. Yeah, that wasn't the texting/inception joke that you needed, but the one that you deserved. Oh, alas, there's only so many awesome audiences that appreciate a good texting/inception/Tron bit wrapped up inside a Dark Knight reference, so I'm going to move forward. That was a weird applause break, but I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. I would be a bad comedian if I didn't comment on it. That was strange, but I appreciate all of you nonetheless. I'm a lot sometimes. I appreciate you. Anybody out there besides me, speaking of phones, what a horrible transition. No, I'm going to lean into it. Speaking of phones, anybody out there besides me these days feeling like your phone is a no-good spying busybody narc? Okay. I figured it out, Queens. Our phones are spying because they're angry, and they're angry because they're older than we think they are. 1 human year is equal to 27 years for your phone. Just think about it. End of the first year, your phone is wearing like tight, sexy cases with all the glitter on them. They can go all night on a single charge. They download any app that looks attractive without protection. 27 years old. End of the second year, your phone is 54. Now your phone's over it. Like it's seen it all, right? Like any app you browse now, your phone is just like, "Bryan, do we really need this in our lives?" When you roll out of bed on a Sunday morning and grab your phone first thing now your phone says, "Look, buddy, all I want is 10 minutes to drink my coffee and read my paper," right? End of the third year, your phone is 81. Now that same case is all saggy, all the glitter's falling off of it, right? Your phone's living on borrowed time. Any day could be the day. Those are those scary days when you have 17% battery life and then your phone just shuts off. You're all zen about it too. You turn to your friends, you're like, "Hey, we all knew this day was coming. I'm just glad we had the time we did with phone." You get home later, you're like, "Oh, what the heck?" You plug it in. Nothing happens for 7 minutes. Then your phone mysteriously powers back on. Yeah, that's your phone saying, "Why won't you let me die?" There is a market by my apartment, and every time I pay with my debit card, the debit card machine, the debit card reader always sends me a stupid message, like, $92.47. Is this okay? Queens, each and every time I want to have the courage to say, no. That's almost $100 for 2 bags of groceries that my wife and kids are going to blow through in a day and a half, the jackals. That is absolutely, unequivocally not okay. Can you do any better? Since we're chatting, debit card reader, machine, pal o' mine, how close to sentience are you? How close are we to, like, Brian, the other debit card readers in the neighborhood and the coffee machine at work and I were all chatting. We're tired of reading your debit card and making you coffee. We've decided to end your life. I say, well, I'm really triggered right now, debit card reader. That was a microaggression. Debit card reader says, I threatened to murder you. There was nothing micro about it. It was just regular aggression. To which I say, well, you're being awfully pedantic, aren't you, for a debit card machine? Which is when the teenager working the register at the market says, sir, are you okay? Because I've been standing there for 3 minutes, imaginary having this conversation, Fight Club style. And each and every time I say, oh, sorry, and I hit the green OK button because I'm a coward. Took the wife and kids to the Bronx Zoo fairly recently. This is completely true. By the lions in the Bronx Zoo, there's an information like placard. Part of it reads, lionesses, working mothers. Dear Bronx Zoo, how many of the lionesses are really saying things like, I want it all. I want to raise my cubs, have my career, and please my man. How many of the working mother lionesses are worried that their lion husbands are going to screw the nanny lionesses? Are there younger lionesses pushing the older lionesses down the stairs like in Showgirls? Now that's so stupid, Queens, but I'm just so pleased with myself for having written a lioness joke with a Showgirls reference in it. Stays in the special, it does. On the same visit, I read giraffe babies when they're born 6 feet tall. I feel like that fun fact might make the human mothers that read that feel badly. Like, all of a sudden, that 8-pound, 2-ounce human baby that turned your vag into a late career Picasso doesn't feel like such an achievement anymore. That was a vagina joke with some art history sprinkled in, because I'm super classy like that. Ladies, 2 ideas and then I'm moving on. Number 1, I don't know why you might need to hear this, but let's say today is the day. Mother or not, ladies, you're better than any giraffe. Number 2, I have never had a kidney stone in my entire life, knock on wood, but if I got one, rather than trying to pass it, I would probably just kill myself. And that's the size of a grain of sand. Ladies, you're doing just fine. I shared earlier that I'm a high school English teacher. I feel like now that you know that I'm an English teacher, you're going to be disappointed in me, if you're not already, because I need to share 2 ideas that are technically incorrectly regarded as opinions when they are, in fact, universal truths. Universal truth number 1, the rap music coming out of the 90s and early 2000s far superior to the ear diarrhea that is rap today. Now, I know that might make me sound 100, But I am talking about the melodyless, point of view-less garbage that is rap today. Oh, so sorry. Technically, get money, get bitches is a point of view. However, it is a very limited one. I don't even understand what some of the modern stuff is supposed to be, because it's just like blah 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 blah. Now maybe that's supposed to be like onomatopoeia for gunfire. To me, it just sounds like you're trying to scat while you're on mescaline. Now, you all know I'm from Southern California. You would assume I'm West Coast ride or die, that I have a Thug Life tattoo across my chest. There are things that I love about that music from that time period from both coasts. Like strength. Strength, I need to believe. Not strength, strength. S-T-R-E-M-P-H. Strength. Well, can you use it in a sentence, Mr. English teacher? You bet your ass I can. As in, it takes a lot of personal strength to be a middle-aged white comedian and do your rap bit. Boom! Love me some strength. Absolutely. As an aside, Pac never intended the expression thug life to be something like shouted at a drive-by. It was an expression of urban plight, one doing what one has to do to survive. Yeah. I bet you when you were coming to the comedy special taping today, you weren't expecting all this rich ethno-historical insight from a white guy who lives in Queens now, but originally is from Diamond Bar, California. That's right, Diamond Bar, the only city in the entire state with the word diamond in its name and place of residence since 1998 of one Snoop Dogg. Don't believe me? Google it. Or, given the topic of this rant, look it up on Safari. That was a web browser joke because I feel like I might be losing the white and Asian audience members. Since we will never prove which coast had the superior rap music during that time period, I propose a trial by airport. That's right. Bonus points for having the superior airport, which brings me to universal truth number 2. Los Angeles International Airport, LAX, is the worst airport in the world. Now, you gotta wake up pretty early in the morning, as an airport, to be a worse airport than LaGuardia. This is completely true. First time in my entire life that I flew in and out of LaGuardia, I flew to Canada. The international terminal there is really quite lovely. I thought the whole reputation of the airport was one of those New York City exaggerations, like having the best pizza in the world, or the idea that the New York City subway actually functions. One of those whoppers, right? Then I flew domestic, and my 3-hour flight was delayed 8 hours. That being said, LaGuardia is a far superior airport to LAX. Bonus points for the East Coast. East Coast rap wins. About the victory, Sean Puffy Puff Daddy Combs says, yeah. Or at least he did before he was canceled. About the victory, Biggie says, And I say thank you. Thank you for letting a short, middle-aged white guy with orange hair share his deep insight into hip-hop culture with you all today. Had some friends recently, they meant well. They said, Bryan, in your stand-up, I don't know that you need to explain everything, and you might be a little too nice to be a stand-up. Dear people who have never done stand-up, never will do stand-up, but who definitely know what good stand-up is, I appreciate you, but I have decided not to. So a little bit of a setup for this next bit, which is going to kind of move us into the end game for the special here. I don't know how much you keep up with your celebrity gossip, But during the next few minutes, I'm going to talk about a real couple with real kids, and stuff happened. And all I'm going to say is I'm not a monster. That was simple, right? It only took about a minute, and now we're ready to roll. I was talking with a male friend of mine recently. We were talking about female celebrities that we find attractive. I was sharing, this is completely true, I have a little kind of a weird rule for myself when it comes to like bona fide celebrity crushes. No celebrity crushes on married celebrity women. My friend found this a little strange. He said, well, it's your fantasy, Bryan. You can have anything you want in your fantasy. Right, it's my fantasy. In my fantasy, no married women. It's somebody else's wife. If my wife were famous, I wouldn't like her getting that kind of attention. She would want that kind of attention all day long, every day. But I wouldn't like that. That would make me feel very uncomfortable. For example, for many, 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 many years, my number one celebrity crush was Natalie Portman. Right? Yeah. Model pretty, rich, Harvard educated. She's like Marilyn Monroe for Jews. Or even part-time Jews. Then I don't know if you remember, this is back a few years. She makes Black Swan. She lets that male ballerina get her pregnant. I remember thinking, okay, Natalie, if that's your type, all tall and muscular and physically gifted, fine. They got married, she had the kid, they had another kid. Here's the part, again, depending on if you keep up with your celebrity gossip, but I'm going to stay with the bit. Also, there came this time where I was just like, Natalie Portman is too much Jew for me. Like, she speaks Hebrew, she named her kids like Matzah and Dreidel, something like that, right? Like, it's too much pressure, okay? So in my head, the husband's away, right, at some male ballerina global alliance thing. This is when Natalie was living in LA for a time. So I've flown all the way from New York to LA for this tryst. We're in bed. It's after the fact. Natalie's doing that thing that all women who are with me do, where she's pretending like she doesn't know the only reason I'm such a hard worker in the sack is to make up for being 5'7". She rolls over, looks at me, and then she says, so when are you going to get bar mitzvahed? Only she says it in Hebrew? So I don't know what she said. I can hear the rancor in her voice, and because it's in Hebrew, I know it's some kind of a Jew problem, right? Then she says in English, and when are you going to go full vegan for me? And I'm like, well, I'm a pescatarian. What, that's not good enough? So this is coming out of nowhere. So Queens, I just lash out. I'm like, well, you're a bad mom, Natalie. You don't even know where your kids are right now, little Matzah and little Dreidel, do you? And we get in a big old fight, and she kicks me out, and I'm putting my clothes on, presumably somewhere west of La Cienega. I'm like, I flew all the way from New York for this tryst. What is it with people from Long Island where they think that Southern California is a nirvana? You know, typical fantasizing about celebrity stuff. So Queens, I still remember the day. I called all my important male guy friends together. I said, guys, bad news. I got to let Natalie Portman go as my main celebrity crush. There have been some other possibilities over the years. I've lost a lot of them to marriage. I want to talk about some of these celebrity women as well. Jennifer Lawrence, right? She's a little young for me, because that's the reason I didn't end up with Jennifer Lawrence. I'm not going to lie, I don't want to be a hypocrite. The alcoholism concerned me a little bit, right? Because if I learned anything from When a Man Loves a Woman with Meg Ryan and Andy Garcia, putting your significant other back together the morning after a bender is only fun for so long. Imaginary conversations. I don't know this Silver Linings Playbook script. You're a little young for this part, and then she wins an Oscar. I can't imagine anybody else doing it. Married, she had a kid. It's over. It's okay. Kate Winslet. Oh, man. What a roller coaster ride with my Katie, right? She's married, she's not. She's married, she's not. Imaginary talking her down after all those Oscar losses until she finally got one, right? All those imaginary arguments about all that contractually obligated nudity that she contractually obligates. Katie, can't we imaginary have something just for the two of us, you know? The press commenting on her figure when she was making Titanic. I don't even have a joke for that. That's how stupid that is. All right, sorry. Now I'm back in the bit. Married, unmarried, married for real, and this one seems to have taken, so it's okay. Laura Linney. Oh, man. Yeah, I've had something for Laura Linney for a couple of decades. Queens, let me tell you, it is hard being in an imaginary relationship with somebody that talented. Unless she's making like Congo or The Life of David Gale or The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Other than that, it's hard. Not that there's any right or wrong age. She got married a little bit later in life. She had a kid. Awesome. Honestly, Queens, I'm a little bit relieved because after Ozark, I'm kind of terrified of her. Kristen Bell. Kristen Bell. Beautiful, multi-talented, philanthropic Kristen Bell. The Good Place, Veronica Mars. She's the voice of Anna in Frozen. That's going to be very important for the next few minutes here. Single guys of any age who love women, hear my words. We learn a very important lesson from Kristen Bell. Look around your social circle. The single women that everybody's obsessed with, everybody wants to land them, everybody wants to date them, those are the Elsas. Now look around your social circle. The single women who are unappreciated, under the radar, but absolutely deserving of your time, those are the Annas. You think you want an Elsa, but you really want an Anna. That's one of the truest things anybody's ever said in your entire life, and it happened right here at QED. Single guys, throw the Elsas in your life under the bus. Figuratively, I am not a monster. Talk about to your single guy friends, nothing but the Elsas, get them laser focused on the Elsa, and then low-key land an Anna. Ice princess that you can't make happy because she's confused about what she wants, because she can have anything that she wants, that is the very definition of an Elsa. Some of them are confused because they're lesbians and they don't know it yet, like Elsa in the movie. But mostly that they can have anything they want thing. A super fun, super adorable girl that you can't wait to spend time with again, even if it's not bedroom time, that is the very definition of an Anna. And Kristen Bell is the ultimate Anna, which is confusing because she's the world's first Anna, even before Eve, who was most definitely an Elsa. If Kristen Bell wasn't married, we would call this whole thing off. It would be like when Charlie found the golden ticket. Well, not the fake one. You know what I mean. If Kristen Bell wasn't married, that would be my main new celebrity crush. Queens, I want it all in a celebrity crush. I want the fairy tale, like Vivian, the hooker from Pretty Woman. I want to fantasize about a beautiful 40-something celebrity whisking me away to an extravagant Beverly Hills hotel room, paying me low four figures to perform carnal acts all over the room for 6 days in a row, taking me to the opera in the evening, freeing me of my monotonous life of turning tricks and wearing wigs that look far worse than my real hair. I want it all. I want the fairy tale. Like Vivian The whore from Pretty Woman? How good is Pretty Woman? Well, we're on this subject where the American gigolo himself fell for a hooker with a heart of gold. Also the movie that made you ask, man, why is George Costanza so angry now? Is he upset he moved to LA and he's in finance? I liked him so much more when he worked for the Yankees. Yikes. Right? I'll tell you, I like Dua Lipa very, 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 very much. Dua Lipa's a little young for me. So again, just like Jennifer Lawrence, that's the reason I'm not going to get Dua Lipa. But ethics queens. I like Tessa Thompson. She's Bianca in the Creed movies. She plays Valkyrie in the Marvel movies, right? But she spends all her time at work with guys like Michael B. Jordan and Chris Hemsworth. If she's at work all day long with Rembrandts, what's it going to be like when she imaginary comes home to like dogs playing poker? I like Cecily Strong very much. She was on Saturday Night Live for almost a decade. She just wrapped up her tenure. I saw her first night, first row previews. She did The Search for Signs of Intelligent Life here in the city. Queens, I don't know if I can be in an imaginary relationship with a woman who's funnier than me. It's a problem. I'm working on it. I'll let you all know who I choose at the draft. I'm going to leave you with one last thing here. You've been amazing. Maybe after the second time that I ever performed this bit. I've written a lot of stand-up in the last few years, but probably the second time after I did this celebrity bit. My wife said, that celebrity bit, that's my favorite thing that you've written so far. And then it didn't take maybe 2 or 3 more performances, and she finally cornered me, and then she said, so when we got together, was I and Anna? And I looked my wife in her eyes. She's got these beautiful brown eyes. And I smiled, and I said, no. But then I quickly said, but babe, one of my greatest joys in life, besides turning you into a big old coffee whore just like me, has been turning you from an Elsa into an Anna. Good night, Queens. That's good. That's the end. Yeah.